Hello, welcome to the My Life God's Way podcast. I am your host, DeAndre Thomas, and today I'm joined by my beautiful wife, Shannon Thomas, right here to my left. You're right. Um, Today we're going to talk about black mental health. And the reason why we're going to talk about black mental health because there's so much going on when you look at the news. It's so many police shootings and just so much going on. And today I was sitting in my car and actually saw this video on Instagram that was very interesting. And it was interesting because it's something that we often do as a black race, if I can say that. And when we chastise our kids, we feel like we have to do it publicly. We feel like we don't have to pull them to the side, like they don't have feelings, and that they can't be damaged by the things that we do. And just as a precursor, this podcast episode does contain sensitive material and strong language, so I do not recommend it for younger viewers. And I'm going to play this clip that I saw today on my Instagram, and it's quite interesting.
This shit! That shit is not unacceptable! You get on my nerves with that! You don't supposed to be doing no shit like that! You're so fucking young! Dog, you finna make me car shit. Ain't no sense you getting that. Do you think this is cute? You think it's fucking cute for you to be doing that shit? That shit don't make no sense! You're a fucking child! Do you understand me? I'm gonna catch you with another nothing! Look at these motherfucking people! And tell you you're being fucking grown! Take this fucking mask off! Look at this shit! You wanna let somebody see you so bad! I don't play that motherfucking shit! You got me fucked up! Do you think this is...
Whoa. Wow. So, if you just seen that, that was quite quite a video to see. I can imagine that the girl is maybe 8 or 9 years old. I have nephews and nieces that's that age, and just to see a little girl doing that, or even if it was a little boy, it doesn't matter. Little girl, boy, it's traumatizing for me to even see that because so many of our young black girls are mimicking what they see. And I'm explaining to you what I say that. You know, we got the Cardi B's, the Megan Thee Stallion, and don't get me wrong, I feel everybody has a right to do what they choose to do. That's one thing about God. He gives us free will and choices to do what we want to do. But does that make it right? I'm going to say no. The reason why I say no, because for those of us that are believers, the Bible does tell us ways that we should conduct ourselves. But I'm going to go deeper. And when I say deeper, I feel like this is a generational issue. And when I say generational issue, this young girl, she was twerking in the video. She spreaded her legs. She even, to me, appeared like she was mimicking getting humped on from the back. Like she was attempting to twerk, like young girls do. And I'm going to say this. I feel this is something that she sees on a regular. I mean, when you think about an 8 or 9 year old girl, what 8 or 9 year old girl is just from the womb after 8 years, just going to school, just gonna start twerking and doing all these things that we call fast in the black community. We say little fast girl. But I think this is something that she sees either at home. And my thing is even deeper, the mom. For the mom to do what she did to that girl, that's traumatizing. She posted this video or either was live with the video and was humiliating her daughter, which is traumatic. And believe it or not, this girl is probably going to have to grow up and get some type of counseling because she's going to be embarrassed when she goes to school because somebody's gonna see it. Somebody's parent is gonna be foolish enough to show their child that goes to school with this girl and say, "Look at your friend. Look what happened to your friend." I mean, what do you think, dear?
Um, there's so much in this video, so much. First, I think the overall video is a mom that she's embarrassed. And, like from the video, it's hard to tell if that was posted like online or something. But, anyways, that doesn't matter. I don't know her whole situation, but maybe she's a single mom because she also seems very frustrated. Like, this is not the first incident that her daughter has done something that's either not appropriate or something like that. The little girl seems like she is just trying to get attention. I don't necessarily think it's something that she's seen her mom do.
Okay.
Because her mom doesn't come across as that type of mom. Yes, she was using a lot of language. But as mothers, sometimes you get to that point and you forget, like, you talking to your kid and you may slip up. I mean, that seems like it's a part of her regular vocabulary. There are some people who generally, they just talk with curse words and it's nothing to them. So, but to me, sorry, my nose itched. It seems like she has either seen something with like her friends, maybe an older cousin, someone who's watching her, and kids are always paying attention. So when you think they're asleep and you're like, oh, okay, I can watch my shows, or they're not paying attention to me while I'm looking at a clip on my phone, kids are always paying attention. And I think that's why the mom got so mad, because this is not something that she is flaunting around her daughter in their household. So for her to do that, she's just like, what is happening? And instead of taking the time to talk to her daughter, see why she's doing these videos, first off, where it's coming from. It could literally be as incident as she was searching something and this came up, and so now she's copying it, or she saw it in a music video, and music videos make everything look glamorous and cool and stuff, and or honestly, she probably got it from some friends. Kids nowadays all have phones, and there's always that kid in the group where their parents let them do whatever. And some kids, for lack of a better term, are followers. They're going to just do what their friends do. They're like, oh, it seems cool, especially if that kid has all the latest and the greatest, because usually the kids whose parents are not involved, that kind of let them do whatever, they compensate by just buying them everything. So then other kids at the school think they're cool. They're like, oh, you have the latest cell phone, or you have, the newest shoes. And really that child is just empty, and they themselves are not getting any attention. So granted, I do not think that the mom's response was appropriate at all.
Not at all.
And I think that she was going the route of, must have been like a live video, because the daughter posted her videos online. And it's like, you thought that this was cool, so let me show these people that you're trying to entertain or get attention from that, no, you're a little kid and this is not okay behavior. And so I don't think it was so much to shame her, but to let her see, like, I'm not playing. You want to be out here with all these people, they gonna see your whole life. But I don't agree with it.
Okay.
I'm just saying that is what I feel like was her thing behind it. Because I don't think she was like, I'm about to just put my daughter on here, embarrass her, she gonna be done for the rest of her life. No, but it was, she felt like she needed to go to the extreme because her daughter's behavior is extreme.
But see, this is the thing. Sometimes the extreme is not the best solution.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying, and I don't think that it was because that little girl's definitely going to be traumatized for sure.
For definitely.
Now, do I think she can come from that? For sure. Her mom can definitely talk with her. She should apologize to her for that. But then she
should do it
needs
publicly.
to.
She should apologize to her publicly, because my thing is she had embarrassed her publicly, so she should be able to apologize to her publicly.
I mean, I don't know if all that is necessary.
I
To be
feel like
completely
it
honest,
is.
I don't know. I feel like an apology just needs to happen, whether she does it on live. But the point is, people need to stop putting their business on live anyway.
Oh, for sure.
So,
But see,
I'm not saying that she needs to apologize to her online or anything like that. Like, we need to get away from that anyway. It's not about other people's thoughts, their views or comments. It's about her and that relationship with her daughter. And that's what she needs to bring it back to. So she needs to apologize to her. Honestly, they just need to have a real one-on-one conversation. They probably need to have some therapy just to see where that child's mindset is at. Because the mother mentioned in the video that she's always trying to get attention. So for me, that means that she's not getting attention at home or where she should be getting it.
Yeah, that's true.
And kids will look for attention any kind of way by acting out. You know, as a kid's mind, any attention is good, whether it be good, bad, or in between. They don't care. So that is really the root of this whole thing, is what is happening to where this little girl feels like she needs to seek outside attention at such a young age.
Well, let me say this. Let me go deeper per se. I feel like it's a generation thing. And the reason why I say it's a generation thing, because when you look at girls nowadays, 18 to 21, 25, 30 years old, when you look at Instagram, all you see is chicks out here showing their body. I mean, leaving literally nothing to the imagination. And ironically, these little girls, they're looking up to them because they want what they have. When these, girls post their homes and these cars, and they're glamorizing, you can get all this by showing what God gave you, per se. And to me, I feel like that's setting a bad example for the younger girls, because we have to be positive role models. Like me, I pride myself on the things that I do, even around my son. I try not to speak a certain type of way. I try to communicate to him effectively as possible, because he looks to me. So for me as a dad, if I'm going to talk to him in a manner to where he's belittled, I feel like he's going to go out to the world and expect that from other people. And that's not the reality. I don't want my son to go places and feel like somebody has to always yell at you or talk to you in a very strong type of manner for you to get something. People should be able to have a great, conversation. People should just be able to converse on a human to human basis. And that's the thing that I really didn't like. I understand what you're saying, and I'm agreeing with what you're saying, but I just feel like for the mother, this is your daughter. Something my grandmother always told me, she said, never call your children what you aren't. And if anybody that's watching this watched that video, she called her MF this and so many curse words. Not going to repeat it, but the fact of the matter is that something that you gave birth to, you felt that comfortable. I don't care how upset you are. You, as an adult, she should have had more composure to say, you know what, I'm upset, but let me try to explain to my daughter that what she's doing is bad. Let me not belittle her. Let me not talk to her in a demeaning way. But she didn't just talk to her in a demeaning way. She actually got out the car, went to the back seat, and chose to whoop the girl on live. Like, where does it stop? Like, I understand she's upset. She has a right to be upset. But I just feel like if you feel you need to go to that level of punishment on your child, then it's some self-reflecting that she needs to do. That's what I feel. I feel like it's some self-reflection she needs to do, because her as a mom, are you monitoring the things that your kids do? Now, don't get me wrong. All kids are sneaky. Whether they're 5, 10, or 15, kids are going to be sneaky. They're going to do what they're going to do because they're children. They're going to think they know more than their parents. It happens in every generation. It's going to keep happening. But the key is, how do we move past this? How do we get better with effectively communicating with our children with each generation?
Well, I think there's a couple things. First off, I feel like her reaction and the way she was speaking, that's probably how she grew up. There are a lot of people where, like, cursing is a regular part of their conversation, of their house.
For sure.
Grandma's cursing, everybody. And they're
sure.
not, and it's not considered, it doesn't have the same connotation like out in the world. So for them, like hearing that, it's just like regular English, ABC 1 2 3, like it's regular. So I don't think that her using those words, that she was trying to like demean her daughter. I honestly just feel like that's a part of their norm. Now, should that be? No.
Now, how do we?
But that's a part of that norm.
Okay, now.
But you can only be accountable, and you can only behave on what you know until you decide that, you know what, I think that there might be a better way to go about this. But if your mom cursed at you, and her mom cursed at you, and it is a continuance, at this point, it's literally just a learned behavior. I mean, it goes all the way down to racism. Babies are not born racist. It is a learned behavior. They see adults behaving a certain way. They start mimicking that. Now, with this little girl, yeah, her mom should not be talking to her because, of course, she's going to think that's how everyone talks. So if someone starts talking to me, that's how. But I feel like another thing is that because, especially with how the economy is right now, a lot of kids are left at home or with their grandparents, and granny's tired. So you going to go sit on that couch with your iPad, be quiet. I'm going to make you this sandwich because y'all know you hungry, and you going to sit there till your mama get here. Like, and that's a lot of kids' realities. So they're left to just their own devices. And see, like when I was growing up, my parents super monitored everything. Of course, as a kid, I thought they were dumb strict, but
not strict enough.
We didn't even have cable. Like my parents were not playing that.
Lord,
like I grew up listening to Disney radio, smooth jazz, or the Christian radio station.
Don't mention smooth jazz. Okay, that's out.
Shut up. But I'm just saying, like, so a lot of things as a kid, like when I went to my friends' houses and stuff, and their parents may have been a little relaxed, I would try to, of course, soak up and watch what I could and stuff like that. But that wasn't a part of my everyday life. So I wasn't looking to these rappers, singers as my idols. No, like that's what my parents are for. That's what my aunts, because those were the people that my parents instilled, are the people that are influential in your life.
But let me say this, and I don't mean to cut you off. Now, you said, growing up, you didn't really look towards certain rappers and things like this.
I didn't.
Now, but let me say something about that. There's a generational gap, even between me and you and the younger generation today. And when I say younger generation, I'm speaking like the 8 or 9-year-old girl that was on the...
Of course.
She's in a generation to where, at 2 years old, babies now are, barely walking, but they know how to unlock an iPhone. They know how to unlock an iPad.
Right, but I still feel like as parents, it's still up to us to guide them. Because like our son, Aiden don't know who celebrities are.
No.
Because we don't make that something in our household. That's what I'm saying. My mom always instilled in us that there's no difference between you and a celebrity. The only difference is that their job puts them on TV. And that's how I've always viewed them. I don't hold them like, if I see somebody, oh my gosh, no, because I wasn't raised to view them that way.
Okay.
Where in a lot of households, they're raised to where like they'll see their parents see somebody on TV like, oh, look at him. Or they'll be out like, oh, it's so-and-so. Let me get his autograph. kids are picking up on all this stuff. Like as a kid, I was excited to get an autograph from Mickey Mouse, and I know Mickey Mouse is not a real person.
No.
But I'm just saying, like
Yeah,
as a
that
kid,
was
that is where my
that
if I
was your
had to,
version of a celebrity.
exactly.
Okay.
And like with our son, he's excited to see, you know, Paw Patrol, or if we're out and he might see a dressed up Black Panther. And as a kid, that's what you should be looking toward. You should be looking at these little cartoons and stuff. I mean, obviously they know they're not real, but that's where it should be at. Like, I don't want my daughter sitting back here and I'm listening to WAP, even if I got the edited version and she's back there bobbing her head. You know, kids are picking up everything, even if they're, and that's the problem. Parents have become so desensitized to separating their stuff and their children's stuff.
Right.
And they feel like, well, I just want to be, you know, be free.
I'm gonna tell you what, let me put a pin right there. I'm gonna tell you what's so funny about what you're saying about parents nowadays being like desensitized to a lot of things. That's like absolutely true. You know, I remember growing up, like when my mom like had company over to the house, like I couldn't go in the living room when they were doing whatever they were doing. Like when her and her friends was in the living room doing whatever they were doing, I don't know. You know, I could not just sit in the middle and just be looking at their mouths and watching them, whether they were gossiping or doing whatever they were doing. You know, I could not sit there and just attain all this adult information, essentially. And nowadays, it's like you're saying, so many parents now are desensitized. And, you know, back to black mental health. You know, I feel like us as a race, we're so damaged. You know, how do we get back to where it used to be the village? You know, we used to be able to depend on the black man or the black woman down the street and say, hey, man, you know, I'm out of sugar. Or you got some, you know, chicken today for me and my family. Tomorrow, we got some extra rice for your family. Whatever it was that you had, you know, we shared and we knew how to be a community. Nowadays, I feel like we're so damaged that, you know, even walking up and down the street, our minds are so gone from where we used to be, you know, loving one another, that me as a black man, when I walk down the street, ironically, and it's sad to say, another black man, most of the times, I'm not going to say all the times, most of the times, will look at me up and down like they have something against me. And they don't even know me. And it's crazy because when you speak to them and say, hey, you know, how you doing, man? They looking at you crazy like, you know, what this dude speaking to me for? But it's sad that has become foreign to us. Like being courteous and, you know, it's like chivalry. Chivalry has become our foreign object. You know, the opening of the car doors for our women, the, you know, putting the jacket on your wife, you know, taking your little daughters out on dates, showing them how a real man is supposed to treat them. All those things, I feel like we're so far detached from where we should be as a race. Our minds are so messed up. And I believe the vast majority of the black race is suffering from PTSD. And the traumaticness about what we're going through is how we've been treated as a race. And we've been pinned against each other to not like each other for whatever reason. You know, we feel like the things that we need to obtain in life makes us better than another black man or a black woman. We feel like when we driving down the street in a Mercedes or a Bentley, it makes me better than that black man or that woman that's driving that Honda Accord. But, you know, it's funny. I seen a post the other day that said, you know, I've seen some employees in a Range Rover and the owner driving a Honda Civic. The funny part about that is that's sad because the owner that's in the Honda Civic probably has a couple $100,000 in the bank sitting somewhere or tied up in investments. And this person that's driving his Range Rover that's working for somebody is probably living paycheck to paycheck, struggling,
Driving to grandma's garage.
struggling to pay for something to impress people that they don't know. And that's so crazy that my mind really goes like far left with this because I love being black. You know, I really do. I mean, I feel like black people are amazing. I feel like when we really come together and put our mind to something, it's nothing we can't do. We can start businesses. We can, man. I was listening to, it was a gentleman on some Atlanta talk show, and he was talking about, years ago, back in Atlanta, they used to make the government, if you wanted to build anything in Atlanta, you had to subcontract a black company. Like, you weren't coming to Atlanta to build something if you weren't subcontracting a black company. So if somebody was coming down there building tunnels, the black man was going to build or lay the concrete or lay the asphalt. But we were so connected to who we are, and we loved ourselves enough to not settle for nothing less than the best. And nowadays, man, it's sad. We got brothers walking around with their pants below their butt, and that's something I still can't understand. I can't understand that for the life of me. I mean, growing up, that's something, man, my head would get knocked off my shoulders if I walked inside the house.
To put it in.
If I walked inside the house and my pants was below my butt. But it's just an upbringing. I mean, I had a very old school upbringing, and I thank God for that because it's turned me into the man that I am today. No criminal record, to be able to work the profession that I work. I mean, those are things that I thank God for. And I thank God that my black mental health is as well as it is. But so many of my brothers and sisters are, I feel like they're so damaged that, it's just really sad. It's really sad to see them like that. And I feel like, what is it going to take for us to turn around? What is it going to take? The police is killing us. We have a president that I feel that just doesn't care about nobody other than his skin complexion. And the individuals that do look like me is only being used to get the vote of the individuals that look like me. And they can't see it.
Uncle Tom's.
Bruh.
But anyways, this I'm gonna ask you this question: how do you feel? Oh Lord, have mercy. How do you feel? We can get back to this old community that we used to have as a race, to where we were more tight knit as a community, and I'm talking about just black people. I can't speak about no other race but my own, because that's what I know. How do you feel we can get back to this from your standpoint, just as, a black woman? What do you feel like these young black women can do to, be better examples for the young women? Because like back again to the young girl,
Are you gonna let me answer the question?
Go ahead. Go.
I don't necessarily think that we need to per se get back to how it was, because there was a lot of trauma, which is why we were where we are now. A lot of, back then it was a lot of, especially with kids, seen and not heard, which I definitely don't agree with. A lot of things were swept under the rug. It was a lot of what happens in this house stays in this house, which led to years of trauma. So I don't necessarily think it's about getting back. I think it's more or less.
Well, when I say get back, I mean get back to.
I know what you're saying.
Principles and values. Not, I'm not trying to go back to slavery, because I'm not picking cotton for nobody.
Shut up. No, what I think needs to happen is, first, you have to even realize that you have trauma. There are a lot of things that are considered normal, but they're traumatic because you don't even realize how it's affecting you. So that's really where it needs to start at. It's like if you grew up in a house of crackheads and then you start doing crack and your kids start doing crack. You're so used to doing crack that you think that that's normal until you go to someone else's house and you like, where's the crack? And they're like, what? And then you start seeing like, that's not a normal case. It's like people who grow up in a house with a hoarder. A lot of times those children, they don't realize that that's not how people live until they get older, until they get out into the world. And they're like, dang, you can see your carpet? And it's the small, I've seen it. And you just don't know.
Right.
So I feel like that's really what needs to happen. The conversation needs to start out with just what is trauma? Like, what about your life, your childhood, do you not even realize it has shaped you into the adult that you are today? And I do feel like our generation, we are already turning that page just in how we deal with our children. You know, most of my mommy friends that are, you know, I say between like 40 and 30, we have definitely adopted the whole like talking with our children, apologizing to our children, because we're adults and we're human and we are going to make mistakes. We are going to overreact when our kids do something. They are going to work our last nerve and we're not going to have the best reaction. But that's not what kids need. They don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be honest and to be real. And there are plenty of times where my son will work every nerve that I have. And then my response might be very sharp, quick, you know. But I will go back to him once I've calmed down and tell him, like, you know what? Mommy apologizes for saying however I said to you or for my tone. Because, you know, and I always say I'm the adult and I'm supposed to have better control, you know. And then I'll be honest, I'll be like, but sometimes mommy and daddies, we just make mistakes. But I'm apologizing to you because that is not how I should be speaking to you or whatever the situation is. Mm-hmm. And see, it's creating a positive communication. And then also it helps your kids understand, like, okay, mommy might make a mistake, but at least she knows she made that mistake and she can apologize. So when they do something, they know, well, you know what? Mommy apologizes to me, so let me apologize to her for my behavior. And let me tell her I'm sorry for how I, you know, whatever happened. Mm-hmm. And it just creates a positive experience, an open dialogue. So, you know, because then it helps your kids feel like they don't have to hide.
Okay.
Not saying they're not. That's just a part of growing up. You're going to do stuff you're not supposed to do. But it helps to alleviate the level. You know, I think about some of the stuff I did when I was younger, and I would not want my children to do that. I would not. I just would not. So I would prefer to
wait, hold on. So what did you do that you don't want Mr. Aiden to do?
Whatever. I'm just saying, as far as like
be transparent,
going to, you know, parties that I know I shouldn't have been at, you know, not telling my parents, stuff like that, and then, you know, feeling like, dang, I wanted to call them because I thought I might be in danger, but I can't. They don't even know I'm here.
You're about to die, but you can't tell them because you ain't supposed to be there.
Exactly. I'm just going to have to, you know, leave a note. But, no, I'm kidding.
Bruh.
But I'm just saying it's stuff like that. So I don't necessarily feel like as a Black community, we need to go back to where it was, because I feel like how it was, that created room for a lot of molestation, rape, and all that stuff, because everyone felt like they couldn't talk. Or if they knew, they were so more worried about protecting the attacker instead of the victim. And now that person grows up with anger and all this feeling. So now when they do have a child, you either get someone that's super protective, where their kid is not prepared for just barely breathing.
But let me say this though, even still, I do agree with what you're saying about, as far as, you know, protecting the attacker and how, you know, it's a thin line between that statement of, you know, what happens in the family stays in the family. It's a thin line with that statement. I'm gonna tell you why. Because some things should not be exposed, and then there are things that should be exposed.
Well, yes.
Like, for instance, like what you're saying about like protecting, and, you know, we've seen it even in movies, but that can be a real thing amongst our community about, you know, everybody knowing that one family member that probably touched kids and probably should be in somebody's prison or something like that, and don't nobody want to say them because, oh, Uncle Ray Ray or Pookie or whoever the name is, you know, and that's not right, you know. And it's crazy because we have this generation now has this Me Too thing that has been birthed from a lot of women feeling like they had to kind of, you know, submerge themselves in their pain and hide so much that happened to them out of fear that if they spoke out, they would be kind of ostracized by their family, and that they
Of
couldn't come
course.
around. And oh, that's just such and such. She's gonna be a problem. We are here. She
Right.
come, and that's not right, you know. But even with the old generation, when I say going back, there is a lot of good that we can take
Oh,
from
of course,
the older
yes.
generation. So I feel
There's
like
always something that you can take.
Right.
There's always.
Right.
You just have to know what should be taken and what needs to be put in the trash.
the
And
trash,
the trash.
basura.
See. And yes, the whole village thing, I do agree with that. But I do think you need to be selective with your village.
Well, it's like your inner circle.
Exactly.
I probably can, and I say this very proud. I probably have 5 good, solid friends, and I'm proud to say that because I know that these five, I can count on. Like, seriously, I know I can
Right.
call them for something. I know I can cry on the phone talking to them. I know they can do the same with me. If they need something, they can call on me, and that's a real friend. I know I can talk to them, and it's not gonna go past them.
And I
That's a
think that
real
goes
friend.
back to the whole mental health. Mental health, there's a lot of components to that. You have to have a good system around you. People that are going to hold you accountable, people that you can be vulnerable with, and people that you can also, laugh and have a good time. You need to have all that. And then you also need to know how you need to decompress for yourself. Every person needs to have some type of me time, something to where, and whatever, and that can be differently for you. There are some people that like to sit in silence. There's some people where they're like, no, I want to go for a run. They need to just sit and watch some trash TV with a glass of wine. Like, you need to find out what me time is for you. And it's not just for women. Men need me time too. They need to, it's okay. It's not going to make you feminine, but you need to take time for yourself. And these are things that are components of mental health, especially like with men. A lot of times they feel like they're, especially if you have a family, they're holding all the weight of everything, bills, rent, and whatever else may be.
Bruh.
And it's like,
Bruh.
stupid.
Bruh.
Shut
I had
up.
to
But
play
it's
sometimes.
like, even with that, they need to have an outlet. And women need to realize you don't need to be with your man 24/7. It's okay.
Ooh, girl. Let me tell you what's so fun. You speaking now. So wait.
I'm not playing.
Let me tell you what's so crazy about what you just said. Men having outlets is very, very, very important. It's crazy. I know you probably looked at me crazy when we moved into our new place and you seen this 80-something inch TV on the wall. But,
I didn't mind it.
well, you did look kind of like, what is this? When you first
Well,
came.
just because we had just put boxes in and I went to go pick up food and came back with a TV.
Well, I mean, I was like, okay, she's gone. This is the best time for me to go get the TV and come back. Because I know my wife, she's going to be gone for a while. So let me go get the TV and come back. And by the time she get here, she already paid for it. Take it back. Oh, I lost the receipt.
Lord.
But I'm saying, having an outlet is very important for men. Because I feel like, and don't get me wrong, what are you doing? I'm not excusing, men's behavior when they lash out at their wife and do certain things. But I feel like part of that reason is because they don't have an outlet. They don't have something that they can kind of express their emotions to. And that's an episode that, in the future, I want to talk about is men and emotions.
And I don't think it's so much expressing emotions. It's just something just for you.
Well,
You're
that's what
not
I'm
sharing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If
or
they're
anything
not
like that.
actually expressing how they feel, they can. Men naturally we hold things in because we're told that if a man expresses himself or either cries that he's soft, and that's not true. But this is a stigma that has been put on us men, especially the black man. The black man cannot cry. We cannot be vulnerable. We cannot open ourselves up, because if we do any of these things, then we're frowned upon, talked about by certain people, soft, all these other questions, and it's sad. But speaking of the having an outlet is very important. That's why I understand it wholeheartedly why some men have man caves away from their wife. It's not saying that the man does not love his woman, but you need that time apart. You know, it's funny. Me and you talked about this a couple years ago. You probably don't remember it, but we was talking about, absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Oh yeah.
But that's a true statement. I mean, there were times to where I was working like crazy. And because of the shift that I work and then you work, we wouldn't really see each other.
Like now.
Huh? Well, yeah, I mean like now, but I mean, it's either work or be homeless. So
pretty much.
But anyways, so there were times that we didn't see each other that often. But
for days.
For days, but I knew that me doing 16, then coming home, you was leaving. I mean, it was hard because it's like, dang, like, you know what I'm saying? Get some cheek, then gone. It's like, all right, see you later. But I'm saying, it was just.
It made the time that we did
see each
set
other.
Aside
And,
to
it
for
made
each
it
other.
even better.
Yes, I knew that's where you were trying to go.
You know what I mean? I said what I mean. You know what I said. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Girls? But outlets are very important. Man caves.
That's
are
another
very
topic,
important.
though. Back to mental health.
Bruh.
Whose show is this?
But
Thank
the
you.
point is that for mental health, there are a lot of components, and so of course it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's not even going to happen, honestly, by our kids' generation. Like, we are just starting to change, and it's going to keep going, and it's going to take a couple generations, just like it took a couple generations to instill what we see as the norm now. So I think it just boils down to making conscious decisions. That's really what it boils down to. If you decide as a mom, I really want to be the best version of myself, the best mom that I can be, then you're going to take the time to figure out what that looks for you, what that means, what that means as far as like the investments you need to put into your life. And by you doing that, you are going to be displaying that behavior for your child, and then they're going to do that with their child. And now their child will see that, and then it will start a pattern, start a new village.
Right. Now, you know what? Let me say this in reference to what you're saying. I feel like it's important for parents. How can I put this? I feel like it's important for parents to understand that, and I'm speaking on the spiritual side here. Many times as believers, we feel like we cannot go to counseling. We cannot go to therapy. We cannot go see a psychiatrist.
Just as black people.
We could not go see a psychologist.
Black Christians is like a double negative.
Well, but see, that's the stigma that's been put. Oh, all I need is Jesus, 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 Jesus. But guess what? God put psychiatrists here on earth for a reason. He put therapists here on earth for a reason. He put counselors here on earth for a reason. They're not
just for white folks.
It's not just, many other races.
But that's the thing. They'd be like, oh, that's for white people. And it's like, it's not. They're not here for a certain race. They're not called white psychologists. They're not called white therapists. They're just therapists and psychologists. And they're here for people. And if you are experiencing or exhibiting behaviors to where you might need someone to talk to, then that's what you should do.
Well, definitely. But we can just took over my little segment, my little sneak peek.
My bad.
Jesus Christ. But back to what I was saying, I do feel like we have to get away from, us as a race of people, we don't need to go to counseling because all we need to do is pray about it and it's going to be all right. I mean, even that whole statement right there, the Bible tells us that faith without works is dead. And when
Because
you
Jesus
pray,
showed didn't pray his way on that cross.
and
He got on there physically and died.
and see, this is what people need to understand. When you pray, the act of prayer is faith because you have to have faith in what you're praying about. So if the action of behind the faith is not there, then you need to. Sometimes we have to make certain changes for our prayers to manifest.
It's like planting a seed and not watering it.
Hello, like I cannot sit here and plant a whole garden of fruits and vegetables and just
And
pray and say,
"Take it,
oh,
Lord."
in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I'm gonna have a whole bunch of watermelon out here, cantaloupe, strawberries. I'm just gonna have a whole, plethora of things out here, and I add no water to it. I mean, all these things go hand in hand, and they go hand in hand for a reason. It's just like with our bodies. Our bodies is made a majority water.
75%.
75% water. If we went through our lives every single day and just felt like I don't have to replenish my body with some form of liquid, water, Gatorade, Pedialyte for the electrolytes, whatever it may be, eventually you will get dehydrated and your body will eventually stop functioning because what it needs is not being, supplied with. It's the same thing with our minds. We have to learn how to enjoy reading, and that may sound hard for some people, but reading is fundamental. We have to.
They have audiobooks.
They have audiobooks. They have podcasts. There's so many ways that you can educate yourself and progress your life and not feel like you're just in this Ferris wheel, But back to this mental health thing, it is very important that we take care of our minds. It's very important that, no matter what we see, it's very important that we learn that no matter what we see, God is still in control. I don't care what anybody say. Coronavirus, COVID-19, COVID-20, COVID-21, COVID-22, 23, 24, 25. COVID gonna be COVID and God is gonna be God. And my thing is I'm trusting God over COVID-19.
Sorry.
Because the key to it all is that God is still in control. That's my belief. Some people choose to put their faith in the earth and the seeds and the ground. That's your choice. If you feel like that's your source, then so be it. But like I tell everybody, try Jesus. I'm telling you, I tried him one day and everything has been all right. Now, does that mean I'm just saying, does that mean my life has been everyday sunshine, clouds, roses? No. Just because you come to Christ does not mean that life is going to get better. What it does mean is that now that you have Christ, life is worth living. A difference. Does not mean that life just automatically gets better and that because I come to Christ, $1 million is going to be in my bank account tomorrow. That's not how that works. But coming to Christ, now you have a safety net. You have somebody that you can literally hold on to you, and it's what's so crazy about that is, growing up in church, I was always taught that even though you strayed away from God, God never left you. Man, that's so true. Because even the individuals who feel like God is not there for them, I'm telling you what I know. God is right there. You'd be surprised how, the Bible says that God take care of babies and fools. So many times that people are doing things that are foolish and they wonder why they're still living and existing on this earth. They wonder why going through certain things that they're still here on this earth. I mean, truth be told, a lot of us shouldn't be here to this day. I mean, I've lost some great people in my life that I love and dear that I feel in my mind that they're gone too soon. But that's not my decision. You know, me speaking from a human perspective, there's people on this earth that I feel like do so much wrong that, gosh, you couldn't take them. Just me being candid and being honest. I feel like some good people left this earth this year over the last couple of years. Some great people in my life. And I see some people that's still here that's doing all type of wrong. But then you have to ask yourself the question, maybe God is not through with them yet. That's why they still here. He's working. I feel like the day that God chooses to take us away from this earth is the day that God essentially, your work is done. What you were placed here on this earth for, the day that God chooses to take you home, you fulfilled your work. The lives that you were supposed to touch, the people that you were supposed to come in contact with, you've already made that connection. Whatever you were supposed to do in somebody's life, the day that you leave this earth is the day either it happened or you didn't do it. But I believe that you did do it. And that's why, you know, it's so important that we take care of our mental health. It is. So we can be around for our children and our children's children. And even closing and wrapping up, you know, about the little girl, you know, I'm going to pray for her tonight because she's going to need prayer. She's going to probably need counseling. And guess what? I'm not mad at her mother. And somebody may say, well, you crazy. Why you saying that? I'm going to tell you why I'm saying it. Because people only do what they know. And believe it or not, that mother that did what she did to that child, she did what she thought was best. Now, in our minds, and probably the millions of people around the world that's sharing the video that's upset, outraged, they should take her, put her in CPS, and, you know, social services should take her. You know, that's fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, I don't care how many times you take a child away from their parent. Believe it or not, the root of the situation is still not fixed. Because you separating the child from their parent, that's not fixing the problem. Because if the problem is what is done to the child by the mother, removing the child is not fixing the situation. Because the issue is still there. And what I mean, the issue is still there. If that mother does not get help, if that child does not get counseling, if that child does not get some form of help with what happened, the problem is still there. You're just stuck in neutral. I mean, does that make that make sense?
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, you understand what I'm saying, right? You know,
I think I get what you're saying. You're basically saying that, like, removing the child is not.
It's not always.
Oh yeah, depending on the situation.
Depending on the situation.
Yes. I mean, in this situation, I don't think that the little girl needs to be removed. I don't feel like
there were so many people that were, the DPS.
Well, people always say that, but a lot of times, most of the people that are commenting that don't have children. So, not saying that you have to have children to comment, but a lot of times those comments come from people that don't have children. I didn't see a mom that, like, hates her child, you know, is gonna drown her or anything. No. I see a mom that really loves her child and was very disappointed in what she did based off of how she felt that she was raising her. That's what I saw in that video. Now, granted, yes, her response was definitely extreme, but it wasn't extreme out of like, oh my gosh, I hate you. It was like, I love you so much, and I don't understand why you are choosing to behave like this when this is not how we act in our home. This is not how I've raised you. This is not something that you know I accept. That's what I saw in that. And she was so upset. The problem was she needed to take time to calm down. She reacted instead of seeing those videos, allowing herself to calm down from being angry, because any mom's gonna be angry. You could be grown and your parents gonna be upset. It don't have nothing. I mean, the age does take a factor, but I'm saying the response for some parents would have been the same. They would have been upset. And the problem is that she, for one, should probably have like some anger classes just to learn how to de-escalate herself. Because even sometimes as parents, when our kids do something, we don't need to get them right in that moment because you're too upset.
Man.
And so you might hurt them, or like in this child's case, traumatize her, when I really don't think that is her intent. Like, I really think she is a mom that loves her daughter. Her daughter looked well fed, kept, you know, like, you know, she had her little braids popping, definitely had some black girl magic happening. But the mom is just trying to understand, how did you get here when that's not the type of household we have? Mm-hmm. And even if, let's say in their household, there may have, for sure there's cursing. But let's say they might have watched something and didn't realize the little girl saw it. Because that happens all the time too. You know, parents say you go to bed and be sneaking in the hallway. So let's just say if that was a situation, the mom is feeling like, I have not demonstrated to you that these behaviors that you're exuding are okay, and especially not for you as a child. So, you know, she's thinking like, you got me all the way twisted, and I'm about to untwist you so you can understand that this is not how we roll. Not in my house. Untwist. So I don't think, removing her, like she don't look like she getting beat. First off, she was too comfortable making them little videos. That little girl ain't getting beat. She may get whoopings for sure, but that's not a everyday, you know, I'm coming in just hitting you for no reason. No. She in a regular black household with a black mama that was letting her know, I'm not playing. And in this stage of social media, that is everyone's go-to, because they feel like when you do have an audience, when there's so many people, it solidifies the message. And that's a behavior that we need to come away from.
Yeah, because you can't embarrass your kids.
Exactly.
Like that. Now, don't get
me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There are some times where you might need to embarrass your child in a certain way. Because there was times where you was acting up in class. That teacher called your mom, and she came to the school. And yes, that was embarrassing for you, but that wasn't traumatic. And that is the thing here. She was trying to prove a point, but the way she went about it, now you have put a forever scar on your child.
Exactly.
So that's the difference. I'm not saying that kids sometimes need to be embarrassed, because they need to understand the severity of what they're doing, and that we are not playing.
To a certain extent.
To a certain extent, yes, of course. To a certain extent, everything has to be age appropriate. You know, like if your 11-year-old is peeing on himself, I'm not going to treat that the same way as my 2-year-old, because he's still learning. So everything is age appropriate. So that's what I feel like from seeing her. I would not say like, oh, she needs to be taken away or nothing. I don't think that she doesn't love the little girl. You know, like, yes, she was definitely, you know, smacking her up in that back seat, but she was just back. She was upset. I'm telling you, that was a mama that was upset. That was a mama bear that had got scratched, and she was on a mission. Okay, she was not playing. Like, in her mind, she's just like, I'm about to do what I need to do, because this little girl needs to be scared to look at a camera.
Today.
Yes.
She gonna learn today.
You know. But definitely, you know, I definitely don't agree with her approach. That I definitely don't. It could have been handled a better way to still drive home the message for the little girl that those behaviors are not okay. Not at your age, and honestly, not even when you were adult. Those type of things that she was exuding, that's stuff that you do in private. Like, you know, if you are in a relationship, married, like, you know, now maybe when you get older, you know, you might go to the club and like twerk a little bit. That's something for you to decide when you get older. But at 8 years old, no. You need to be, you know, playing hopscotch and trying to do these little like dance songs.
I haven't heard that in a minute.
I'm just saying, like that.
Double Dutch.
Yes, these are things that we need to get our kids back to, and part of that is we're in this age of social media. That's why, you know, my husband being the tech person he is, he probably gets annoyed, but I pay attention to how much like our child is using his tablet or watching TV.
And I'm guilty because I stay on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
But it's like, no,
Snap.
I'm not creating a little Wally in my house. No, you're gonna go outside, run, be a child, do like I did, and all these other things. Mm-hmm. And it is so beneficial for them because phones and tablets is not life. And that's what it's becoming for a lot of people, and that's the problem. But back to the little girl, I don't think she's in danger. I'm pretty sure her mama didn't calm down, and hopefully they did have a conversation where she can really explain to her like why these things are not okay. Because, like, you know, kids, they see everything. So if you do see someone on TV, you know, dropping it low, and there are some parents that feel like that behavior is okay for their kids. Mm-hmm. So if you're seeing other kids, you don't see a problem. Like, oh, well, you know, they're doing it, so why can I not? And I think that also needs to be, hopefully that's something that was discussed with her, is why it's inappropriate. Because just telling your kids not to do it, that's just going to make them want to keep doing it. They need to know why, you know? So hopefully that did take place. Definitely going to have just the whole family, you know, in prayer. Just, you know, from that video. There's just a lot. There's so much that you don't know, so much that could be happening. And, you know, I definitely hope that it is something. I hope that someone who does know her takes the time to just, like, love on that mom. She doesn't need people telling her that she's a bad mom. Because she already feels like a bad mom. That's why she responded that way. She needs someone to just, like, give her a hug. Like, motherhood is hard. We get it. And not everything that your kids do is a reflection of you. Like, your kids are still their own little persons. So sometimes they just gonna do stuff that they just pull out their head. And you be like, what? So I really do hope that her friends or somebody that knows her is just taking the time to just love on her. Mm-hmm. And let her know, like, it's gonna be all right. Little girl looks like she's like 7 or 8. She got a lot more years. She gonna do a lot more stuff. Might give you some gray hairs. But let's work on better ways at chastising her to correct her behavior, instead of going, you know, 0 to 1,000. So that's my hope for the family and for the little girl, that they do have people in their life to be like, you know what, you made a mistake, and it's okay. As parents, we're gonna make mistakes. Children don't come with rule books, and even if they did, they're so much of individuals that it wouldn't even matter. Mm-hmm. So, you know. But I just hope she's not feeding into the comments and the people, because people are always going to have something to say. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, it ain't about them, because that's your child, you're the mom, that's your household, and you need to do what's going to be the best for you, for her, and for your household. Because people can talk all they want, but unless they about to start, you know, shoveling money into your bank account, then your opinion is really invalid. At least that's how I feel.
Well, that's a lot of feeling.
Whatever.
But no, I do concur with you saying, from a male perspective, my hope and prayer is that I don't know what the little girl's father is, but my hope and prayer is that if her father is living, is around, that he loves on her like he needs to love on her. Because, and I'm not a woman, but I'm pretty sure my wife can contest to this. It's just something different about a father's love and his little girl. I feel like the mom, she can turn it around, but I feel like with most little girls, as they get older, one of the main things that they start to gravitate towards is impressing little boys. So I feel like if her father is around, if he can just love on his daughter and just let her know that, she's enough, that you're a young black queen. You don't have to do these things. You don't have to dance like this to be appreciated. You don't have to talk a certain type of way to feel like, you have to be loved. It's a father's love is everything for a little girl. It's an old saying that says a father is a girl's first boyfriend in a literal sense, because he's the one that actually teaches his little girl how to be treated by a guy. So I feel that it's going to be important for wherever her father is, if he just, makes himself very active in his daughter's life. And I'm not saying that he's not, because this is just a video and we don't know. Everybody that's commenting and sharing the post, we're all outsiders looking in. So we don't know where the father is. We don't know how bad or good the mother is. But, we just have to encourage that mom to just, protect her mental health, have a little more patience with her daughter, take a deep breath, and then communicate her feelings. But, me personally, I don't feel like she should have, did what she did, online to the girl. But we're going to wrap this episode up, and I'm going to thank you all for watching us this long. The quirkiness, we're probably both sleepy and tired, but I'm going to ask you to do me a favor and go to YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel at My Life God's Way, as well as my Facebook at My Life God's Way, as well as Instagram at My Life God's Way. And you can find this podcast on every podcast digital platform that you can find. It'll be there, from Apple Music to Anchor to Spotify and so many others. Thank you. Have a good day.